In this question we are being asked what the value is of b plus c. The first piece of information tells us that a times b plus c times d plus a times c plus b times d equals 6. And the second piece of information tells us that a plus d equals 4. Now, we can already, by simply looking at the second piece of information, see that it doesn't provide enough information on its own, since the question is about b plus c, and the second piece of information only mentions a and d, and so doesn't relate any information about these two quantities that are being asked about. So right off the bat we can already say that the second piece of information by itself is not sufficient. So we move on to the slightly more complicated looking first piece of information, and here we clearly see that b and c are mentioned, but they are multiplied with other factors across several terms. In order for this to make more sense, we might want to rewrite this equation for clarity by putting the terms that contain the multiplication with b and the terms that contain the multiplication with c next to each other. So I'm first going to rewrite down here that a times b plus b times d, so that we have now two terms containing b close to each other for clarity, plus c times d plus a times c equals 6. In the first half of this left-hand side, we can actually see those two terms containing b, and since it's a common factor, we can take it outside of brackets. So if we remove b from those two terms, what would be left inside of the brackets would be a and d. The two other terms on the left-hand side both contain c, so we can also get this out of brackets because it's a common factor. And we would find now that both b and c are multiplied with a plus d. So we can also get a plus d out of brackets, since that's a common factor now across these two terms in the left-hand side. So grouping together b plus c within brackets basically is the same as saying that we are taking a plus d out of brackets. And so now, this is not a question, but now we get the most out of our information, saying that b plus c, which is the quantity that we are looking for, multiplied with a plus d must be equal to 6. Now, without knowing anything about a plus d, we cannot really say anything about how much b plus c has to be. And so, on those grounds, we have to say that this first piece of information separately is not sufficient. However, since we now both have insufficient information for both the first and the second piece of information, we have to try and combine these pieces of information. And we find that if we add, or if we substitute, a plus d equals 4 into the first piece of information here, we can calculate b plus c, because a plus d can now be replaced by 4. And if we now divide both sides by 4, we will actually have on the left-hand side only b plus c, which must then equal 6 divided by 4, or, if you prefer, 1.5. This means that if we combine both pieces of information, we will have sufficient information, and so the answer is C.